that are going into talking about our TANF program and some of the budget considerations that we're going to have to work with and grapple with, I'll be honest, going into the next biennium. For those of you who came to the budget presentation, you already got a preview of some of the ideas that we're having to think about. And fundamentally, all I wanted to say today is that we did some really major policy changes a few years ago that have benefited folks immensely. The DV payment increase, the clothing allowances, things like that. And we knew all along that there was only going to be a moment of time where we were going to have enough of the carryover to continue to do that at its full rate, full pace. And we're at that biennium now where we're going to have to think about what are the most important things for us to spend our TANF money on. And we're trying to project out what the deficit might look like for next year if we keep doing everything the same. And we're going through all of those calculations right now. So I just wanted to let you know that there are many ways we're going to have to be looking at our TANF program. We're going to have to do some changes now, which you're going to hear about, a little bit about, to address this biennium. And then we're going to have much bigger conversations with the legislature and the governor's office about what's going to happen in the next biennium. And it's going to be hard. There's no doubt about it. These are changes nobody wants to make. There are no good choices, right? Every single thing we might have to adjust is going to affect somebody. So I just wanted to reiterate that it's becoming very real for all of us. I mean, I really think probably this week there was a team of 10 or 15 folks who were doing calculations and projections and all sorts of things just about TANF almost the full week. And we're really taking it seriously and working hard to try to come up with some thinking that we can then share again with some community engagement going forward. So not great news. I just wanted to sort of start off with that reality check because we're all feeling it, and appreciate the feedback we've already gotten so far. It's definitely gone into the hopper from the outreach meetings that we've already done. So that's thing one. Thing two that I wanted to talk about today really is just to share with you some items that are a priority for the agency, ways we want to work together that we are all calling out by name on a regular basis inside ODHS, but I kind of wanted to name them for you so that you have maybe a clearer idea of the kinds of things that are driving us. And in particular, I would say it's coming from the governor's office and it's coming from our new director, Lisa Wendt, and her firmly taking hold of the reins for the agency and really getting clear about what our priorities are overall. And you should feel this not just from SSP. The things I'm going to talk about now are really much broader, more agency-wide, And I think the first thing that I wanted to name, and hopefully you all have felt this and are seeing this, but we have made such a new kind of commitment to community engagement. It's everything from the communication pushing out about SNAP and HR1 to the number of focus groups we're having, the number of community meetings we're having. We're having a partnership with OHA that's really productive that has to do with community engagement. We're working on some customer service surveys to try to get more feedback directly from the folks that we serve. So it's a really big priority for us going forward. And it's not a short-term commitment. This is like an everyday, how are we doing better to do community engagement is what we all are asking ourselves and what we're asking the folks who work here. The other thing that's like that, too, is that you all probably know this better than some. We have always struggled to have the best possible data right at the tip of our fingers to be able to tell our story and share with community and partners about the work that we're doing. And the agency has just done a major commitment to the work that we want to do and that we are going to continue to do around data and research and performance. In this time where we have sort of limited resources, it's more important than ever to know that we spend a dollar on the right thing, what families really need, what individuals really need, what youth really needs. And we can only know that truly through getting some qualitative data, which we do pretty well, and then now quantitative data and some longer term research. And so we're excited about some reorganization that's happening in the agency. We have a data office now, and then we have a performance and research and policy office that are headed up by really brilliant folks who are all just dialing in this work for the agency. So I think you'll be able to see some improvements from us in those areas. We're very excited about that continued investment. We also are committed, and this is something Liesl really believes in. We're not just listening to what folks have to say and to tell us, we're actually implementing them. And not only are we implementing changes from feedback that we're hearing, we're trying to do it in a way that is perhaps more expeditious than a bureaucracy has historically done. We're a big ship. It takes us a lot to turn it. And there are ways that we can implement changes better, faster, more efficiently than we have done historically. There's sort of a joke. We've been calling it the ODHS washing machine. We spend so much time trying to figure everything out. Nothing ever goes into the dryer. And so now we're really focused as leadership, and our teams are focused on how can we make meaningful change based on the feedback from you all, from the folks we serve, from the folks we partner with, in real time, because the world is moving. It's moving fast. We've got hard things coming our way, whether it's globally, federally, state budget, whatever. We don't have time to sit around and not make adjustments. And so as a culture, there's a really intentional effort that we're trying to put forth around doing the work. And one of the exciting things that gave us all a really big nudge on that work is that the governor, when Liesl took her job, asked Liesl for a 100-day plan. What's going to be different in 100 days? And guess how many of those plans we all had to come up with too, right? So we all did 100-day plans, and now those are in the books. Those are changes that have been made. We're improving our TADVS services. We're working on improving access to SSDI and some other programs in SSP in a hurry, and we've made some really great changes. And so we're excited about that. And that sort of mentality and success of being able to do things in a much quicker pace I think has felt really good to everybody. We're also tired, and we wish we had more everything, to do it, but everybody's really committed to this and to being responsive. And it's I've been with the agency now for almost 7 years, not nearly as long as a lot of folks, but long enough to see this moment in time as a really big difference in sort of the leadership strategies and the commitment to these initiatives. And then I guess lastly, I would just add that we have never, ever wavered in our commitment to equity work, diversity work, digging deep to find out where there's disproportionality. And that is still the top tenet for the agency, really. So I just wanted to say that out loud too, and hope that you all feel that. But it's a really big part of who we are, what we stand for, what our values are as an agency, and we have never wavered on that. So those are the big things that are happening kind of organizationally, maybe culturally in the agency. Our ERGs, for example, our employee resource groups are thriving, doing all kinds of innovative and creative things. Outreach is really strong in terms of community events and our new vans. And, there are all kinds of ways that we're addressing these big commitments. But I felt like it was important to maybe name them all for you, just so that you heard it directly from me. I hope you can tell my sincerity about the commitment to these as a leader for self-sufficiency. And we're going to keep doing the best possible work we can, even with all the challenges that we're all facing. And I wanted to reassure everyone about that. So I'm happy to answer any questions or get any response to any of that. Just some big ideas that maybe aren't rocket science, but we are committed. All right. Well, I would like to commit to you that we will be engaging this group more around some of this TANF conversation, which we'll hear more about as we move closer towards the federal budget process, federal state budget process. And so we'll keep you informed because I know it matters to you all. So thanks for the time, Sandra.
Thank you, Claire.
Turning it back.
Thank you. All right. So, um, with that being said, we do have Miguel here, and Miguel is going to share with us a little bit about TANF support services. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Miguel.
Good afternoon, Miguel Mendez. I'm the lead policy analyst for the TANF team. As Sandra mentioned, I'll be going over the upcoming changes for the support service changes. Since I am displaying my screen, I'm going to turn off my camera just to make sure that there's no interruptions. And let's see if I can do this. Hopefully I did this correctly. Can you see my camera or my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Excuse me, I had a clear frog in my throat. Okay, so I'll be talking today about the upcoming changes to our support services payments that we are able to make. These changes are effective as of June 1st, 2026. So that's just a few weeks away. A little bit about the why behind some of these changes. Excuse me. Some of the main reasons on why we're making these changes is first and foremost, as Claire mentioned, we do have a legislatively allocated budget. And so we are really trying to move closer into maintaining within our allocated budget a lot, for the biennium, the 2025, June 2025 through July 2027 budget. We want to also continue to make sure that we can support as many families as possible. When we were having discussions around the upcoming changes, these conversations were not easy. There were no real best options on the table. However, the path forward that we are moving with is the least damaging or impacting of all the changes that were on the table. We also are shifting towards supporting families and finding sustainable long-term solutions. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that as how it relates to you all as community partners and our relationship between ODHS and community. Okay. So what does this mean for you all as partners? Well, first and foremost, you may see an increase in communication from self-sufficiency offices. Our teams in the local areas might be reaching out to collaborate further than what we may have in the couple past years, making sure that we're utilizing all available resources and braiding the funds together and really coming together as community to support our TANF families. You may be requested, if available, to attend additional coordination meetings. These might be group meetings with multiple staff, might be one-on-one. Really just depends on the local area needs and the needs of local families that we're trying to support. And again, greater collaboration to connect families with resources. We know that at this time, resources are being impacted all over the place. Budgets are being impacted to multiple agencies, multiple nonprofits. So we realize that not ideal, not a lot of resources, but we're hoping that together we can come as a community and braid our available resources to support families as best we can in their time of need and help them stabilize. Oops, I went too far. Okay, so now getting into the meat and potatoes of the changes. Our biggest changes are going to be around housing and utility supports. So for those who are eligible for our support services, which are individuals who are eligible to participate in our employment and training program, which is called JOBS. That stands for Job Opportunity and Basic Skills, which is most of our TANF adults, parents, needy caretaker relatives of children. For the last couple of years, we haven't really had a lot of limitations within our support services. And the reason for that was just really trying to make sure that we are able to meet the need and ensure that families can successfully meet the needs of their families while engaging in the JOBS program. As mentioned, we are coming up against some difficult budget conversations, and we had to make some adjustments as soon as possible in order to maintain within our legislatively approved budget. And we had to pivot. And so as of June 1st, our housing and utility payments are going to be limited. The reason for that is our housing and utility support services are our biggest expenditures for job support services. I thought about getting the exact percentage down in writing for my notes, but I didn't get that, but we'll include it in the minutes to this meeting, but it is over 50%. So these two categories account for over 50% of our support services. And so moving forward, we're going to take advantage of our federal funds and try to support as many families as we can utilizing our federal funds. And we are going to have to implement a limit of a maximum of 4 payments in a 12-month period. That annual 12-month period is going to have a $3,500 cap per family. So that is the maximum that families would be able to access for housing and utilities. And that is combined, it's not separate. There will be a few exceptions. So families who are houseless and their primary source of housing is their vehicle. Maybe that's their everyday car, could be a recreational vehicle. We will be able to support families in those situations to make sure that they are able to continue to have some sort of safe housing. Application fees. We know application fees can sometimes be expensive, and excuse me, each agency requires a fee of some sorts. Those application fees will not be counted towards the 4 payment limitation or the $3,500 annual cap. So we will continue to be able to support families with their application fees under a different payment type within ODHS. And Sandra, I'm not keeping track of chat since I'm displaying, so I don't know if there are any questions right now.
There's no questions right now.
Okay. I will continue forward. Oop. I don't know why it does that. Okay. Okay, so this next one is was one of the more, like I said, none of these decisions were easy, but this was also a very difficult decision to land on. Auto expenses was the third highest expense that we have with our job support services. And so we had to make the difficult decision to no longer allow for auto expenses. Again, there will be that exception. If somebody is unhoused and they live in their vehicle, we will be able to support them with their auto expenses to maintain that safe housing. But for general, if a family is not living in their vehicle, we will no longer be able to make auto loan payments, maintenance, repairs, and that includes tire assistance as well. Some exceptions to this, we will continue to be able to make payments to assist with DMV fees. So when somebody purchases a vehicle or acquires a new vehicle, we will be able to help them with that title transfer, making sure that they get all the appropriate documentation transferred over to their name. And we will
now.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, maybe someone came off mute on accident. We'll be able to assist individuals with getting their auto insurance set up. We'll be able to help with at least 2 months in a 12-month rolling period. And so we'll be able to continue some supports, just not at the current levels that we have been able to support with. I do want to mention We will be able to continue to support families with transportation costs. So if somebody needs assistance with gas to get to different employment activities or different activities within their personal development plan, we can help with that. We can also continue to help with bus passes. I know that's a resource that's used a lot in the Portland metro area, as well as the Salem area and Southern Oregon. So we will be able to continue with those supports for families.
What program is this?
Hey, Miguel, there is one question in the chat from
Sure.
Stacy. If they live in their vehicles, does that include a motorhome?
Yes, it would include a motorhome. So if a motorhome is their vehicle, that's their primary residency, we would be able to assist them to maintain that safe housing. Good question. Okay, I'll continue if there's no more. The other change, which may not be as a significant change as the other two changes that we just discussed, but we have made, excuse me 1 minute. Had a heavier than expected lunch apparently because the frog is in my throat. The other change was related to self-employment. So we are aligning our rule to come into the guidelines of our federal partners. And so our self-employment payments are going to be limited to costs associated with training, licensing, and compliance and insurance costs. So if somebody is starting a self-employment venture and they need, let's say they need to get bonding, they need to get insurance, they need to get all that taken care of, we can assist with those payments for that individual to get up and started. Um, if somebody needs to attend a specialized training to make sure that they get everything in line for their licensing and insurance needs, we can assist with that as well. We can also assist with specialized clothing and safety gear. And so what this looks like is really maybe somebody needs steel toe boots, uh, hard hats, things of that nature. Maybe safety reflective gear. We can assist individuals with acquiring that as well. And then the last thing on the list here is marketing and outreach materials. So if somebody's wanting some assistance with marketing, maybe they have uh, to pay a one-time fee to get the word out. Maybe it's a billboard or maybe it's an advertisement online. We can assist with those type of payments as well to get their business started. I touched on this at the beginning, but moving forward, we are asking self-sufficiency staff to continue to collaborate and strengthen local partnerships. So that way we are bringing all available resources whenever we possibly can, leveraging those other community resources, although we do recognize that they are limited during this time, and continue to support family stability through those collaboration efforts. Uh, we also, as a program, will be monitoring the impacts to these changes. So we have a variety of different internal tools that our staff utilize that we will be accessing to impact how this is affecting the people that access our services. We'll also be continuing to monitor the budget, and we're hopeful that we can make some changes in the near future. Again, nothing is known, so we're going to have to keep a close eye to make sure that we continue to align our services with the budget. And if we can, we will make those adjustments as necessary. One other thing that I wanted to mention that is not included in this PowerPoint is we are developing with our communications team a toolkit for our staff. And that toolkit is going to include resources such as our guidance to staff, a letter that will be going out to families. That letter will probably not make it out by June 1st, realistically, but we will be sending out that letter to impacted families so that way they can know. That will also be a part of the toolkit. We'll also have a informational flyer that will be a part of the toolkit that our staff can hand out to families. And we'll also have some other resources on how to have some of these difficult conversations. We have been in discussions to make that toolkit publicly available, similar to the way that the temporary assistance to domestic violence resources are available on the public facing website. And so we just wanted to let you all know that once those resources are available, they will also be available to the public. So they'll be available to you, any participant who is wanting to access additional information. We just wanted to highlight that so that you are aware that that is coming, and that is a tool that is both for our staff as well as participants and you all. Sandra, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it all. Thank you for that. Are there any questions for Miguel?
A lot of change. So if there are any questions, I feel you all know how to reach out, and we'd be happy to have conversations and answer any questions that may come up after the fact.
Yeah, thank you, Miguel. And it was important for us to bring this information here to you all, as we know that some of the questions will be coming to you as soon as this information is shared. And so we really wanted you all to have situational awareness of what is happening, but also, like Miguel said, if there are any additional questions that come, feel free to send them our way, and we'd be more than happy to help guide some of those answers as well. So. Okay. Well, as I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, our last minute presenter wasn't able to make it. So I think I'm going to turn it over to Q&A. Is there any last minute or roundtable topics, or anybody have any questions that they would like to ask that we can help answer here for you today? Okay. All right. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon and have a great weekend. We'll talk soon. Bye.